I figured I would go ahead and redo this. I've had some questions recently on these particular guys because my old video had some outdated information and it was very much incorrect. But yeah, I will go ahead and cover it. These are Sativian knives. Almost all of them will come with this little leather slip. There is a knife in here. I will get to that in a moment. This one's kind of an outlier, but it's in that same kind of range there. So we have the ST237. Kerchunk, bring that out. Yeah, it's kind of a big belly modified sheep's foot, almost like a griptilian style. But the blade shape's a little bit, or size is much more mini griptilian. We got this guy, which is really strange recurve Tonto here. We got this front flipper guy, which is probably my favorite out of the bunch of them. Alright, we got this one, which is, I don't know, it's not my favorite. I think one or two other people on YouTube actually really do like this thing. And it's kind of interesting looking. I'll cover that a little bit more. And then, of course, we have this little pink thing here with the really weird proportions harpoon kind of thing here. Why is it in the slip? Because the pocket clip sucks. So, what I was covering in my last video, I was kind of one of the first ones to pick these guys up. At that time, Amazon didn't have really any information, and I think probably what kind of propped a little bit of that was Jared over at Neves Knives reached out to the actual designer of these knives to ask, what the hell is this steel? Because, it's a Damascus, and most companies don't tell you crap when it comes to Damascus steel. Except for the fact that the company that these things are made from, Sitivien has most of his knives made through a company called Jufule, or Jofule, I don't know exactly how you pronounce it. And, well, his knives are nice and legit, but the company itself, shady as fuck. And I'm not going to lie or really candy coat any of that. They do blatant copies of Spyderco, Benchmade, Cold Steel. And the only thing that they don't do is put their name on a blade for them otherwise. So, with that all being said, at the time when I bought these, the only information on them was on their AliExpress store, where they state and go into really high detail, and still do, that this is RWL 34 steel that they've kind of Damascus clad otherwise. Obviously, that's really not going to be the case. Because, well, these knives are well under $100. So that is not the steel that's in here. It might have kind of similar properties to it. Basically, what the kind of consensus is and what the Amazon page now says, and that's because it's what the creator of the knives kind of came back with, is that it's a VG10 Damascus, and it's strange, and he says it's a 10CR 15 MOV for the other steel there. And to me, that really doesn't make sense. Unless... No, I honestly don't know. Because 10CR 15 MOV and VG10 are chemically almost identical, you're not going to get the chromium or the nickel difference so that you can actually see what's going on the outside of these blades anywhere near as much as that kind of comes across as. So I don't honestly think that it's a 10CR15 MOV on the outside. That seems like a giant waste of money too. It's the same stuff. It's just, like K110 and D2. Well, K110 is made in Austria. VG10 is made in Japan, whereas 10CR is usually made in China. So, I don't know. But yes, I wanted to clear all of that out. It's not like mine are special and they're in RWL 34. It's just the initial information, and some information that's still out about these is absolutely wrong, and I really, really hate that. So it kind of prompted me to want to recover these things. These are fairly nice knives, especially for the money, as long as you don't assume that it's RWL 34 steel. What is RDBL34 steel? If you're not familiar, I covered it in the last video, but it's essentially it's a version of, well, ATS34 that's powder metallurgy derived rather than ingot that the ATS34 is. ATS34 is the same as 154 CM. So the powderized metal version of that, we do make it here in the States as CPM 154. Let's see, I can probably pull out a knife super quick that has it. Yeah, I can. All of the Kershaw launch series use CPM 154 steel. It is metallurgically identical to what RWL34 is. However, RWL34 is made by Damasteel in Sweden, and they charge an exorbitant premium for their steel all over the map. There's no way that they could actually make these guys for those costs. If you've seen other knives made out of RWL34, they generally start around $600 or $700, and that is not what we have here. So yeah, wanted to cover all of that. All of that out of the way. Yeah, they're VG10 blades, fairly decently affordable, but I really wouldn't look into pretty much anything else that this company actually makes, because all of them are ripoffs. Like I said, Cold Steel, Benchmade, Spyderco, EDC Nimble, which I accidentally bought into before I was familiar with that knife myself. So yeah, it's a problem, and it really makes me, I don't know, angry. I do like that. The only other knife that they have made that wasn't a copy besides these was that little bear fly knife. It was a little access knife with micarta scales on it. That was an original, and I bought that hoping that that would kind of nudge them into, dude, make your own knives. So I wanted to support that. Ethan Grow does also has licensed that design for distribution over here from Amazon and stuff like that. But okay, all of that being aside, these things are fairly interesting, fairly nice for the price. So I will set this guy aside. It is a little bit different than the other ones here, but all of these are steel liner locks. Every single one of them. And just like Azomai from Kaiser likes to do, all of these have proud liners all the way around. Not exactly the most comfortable thing I find if I'm actually putting a lot of pressure on it, because you have a much smaller area kind of digging into your fingers there. It's not my favorite, but a lot of knives do that, including the Big Lighter and a whole bunch of other ones that are super popular. Their action is quite nice on basically all of them here. Surprisingly so, which is good to see. However, as you can see with this guy here, your mileage may vary with the actual hardware used to hold these guys together. And I've had the same problem with other Jufule knives, including another budget Sativian that I've had in the past, where essentially this whole thing, the clips, and it's not the screw itself; it's actually the liners and everything like that. I cannot actually attach that pocket clip anymore. Because yeah, their hardware isn't quite up to snuff with a lot of other production companies out there. So your mileage may vary, and it also depends on whether or not you actually ever take one of these things apart and attempt to put it back together, or what have you. So keep that in mind. It is a budget knife, but it is using some pretty interesting materials here. Um, the little bolster onlays are titanium, and then we have marbled carbon fiber going for the rest of them. This one actually has a dyed material here. I honestly don't know if this is fat carbon or another company kind of like that, or if they've kind of figured out a way how to do that for theirs. But I do think that this one's green, but I think they also did a blue version of this that had blue colored marble carbon fiber. And the carbon fiber on here is great. It's also onlays, they're not inlaid or anything like that. Um, and the pocket clips end up working out decently well, and they are titanium milled to match the bolsters there. So as long as you don't really have any problems with the screws or stripping out of liners or anything like that, these things work out super super great. They have a decent sharpening choil. This one is it's much more gradual, but it starts far enough forward that wasn't really a problem for me. And well, this one has a little finger choil, but it's a little it's a little on the dainty side. Obviously this is a much more of a Chinese design product. I honestly don't know what ethnicity Sativian is. I kind of thought it was Russian or Ukrainian, but I honestly don't know. But either way, yeah, it's just a little small for me to attempt to use that. And the steel does work pretty darn well. It is very well treated VG10. I will definitely give it that. These things did give me a bit more of a problem trying to reprofile them to the 17 or 15 degree angles that I ended up putting on here. So when they do state that their hardness they're aiming for 59 to 61, I think for the most part they're on the higher end of that spectrum. So that's good. It felt a lot like Boker's VG10, which they run most of their steels pretty darn hard. So that's a good thing. I don't really have any complaints there. Yeah, you don't really have a crazy amount of extra lock bar access, but they're obviously I don't have any problems with them. We have the scallops on both sides, so that's nice. This one's especially a lot of fun to play with. I do like the blade shape on there and everything. And the Damascus pattern on there looks nice. You don't really feel any of it. That's generally going to be the case with almost all of the Damascus out on the market. And that's by design, because if you can feel it, then you could probably fairly easily delaminate it over time, have those layers actually scrape off or something like that. And they have a really nice high polish, or a high, well, not mirror polish, but very, very high polish going on to them. So there's a lot of really good things to say about them. Your mileage may vary according to whether or not the hardware is actually fully in there or not, and the little leather pouch that comes with all of them, it's decent. The leather is actually fairly high quality. The stitching on there might not hold up over time, and this is definitely a little bit larger than what you would want to try to stuff in your pocket if you were going to carry it like a slip joint pocket slip or something like that. You can see that the stitching is there, but the adhesive ends up kind of giving up after a little while. I haven't even really carried this in my pocket, but yeah, it is what it is. This one is a little bit different. It to me feels a little jank, but it is fairly interesting. We have those liners as well, but the handles are actually Damascus steel made as well, so it matches the blade on here. And this blade, quite a bit more deeply etched. You can actually feel the distinct layers going on there. You can also feel that on the handle, so that's pretty neat. This thing does not have very good action, even though it's riding on bearings and stuff like that. And I've tried a lot to improve that. No pocket clip on this guy. It does come with a little leather backing thing here. It's not all that bad of a knife, but just the way that it ends up feeling, and this thing was actually difficult to get back together due to some more of the just strange hardware kind of thing. Um, these onlays aren't really attached, and you can see the adhesive has let go on this particular one at the end here. So not a super high durable knife, but it looks basically like a high end version of one of those fancy knives, supposed things that you would find at a flea market or something like that. And, I mean, honestly, the blade is pretty good on it as well. I do believe that it's the same VG10 kind of material, but they don't really have an official word on any particular website what particular Damascus steels, or yeah, steels were done for that. So, yeah, there we go. I wanted to recover that because there's been confusion. I think a couple of people thought maybe I had specialer versions that had RWL 34, and no, it's not that at all. It's that the company, while it treated the steel pretty darn good, decided that they were going to state that it was a much, much more expensive steel because it has pretty close to the same properties when treated the way that they've treated it. That and putting the Damascus layers on the outside makes it even more difficult in case someone wanted to, use one of those steel guns to actually attempt to see what that is. They would have to scratch through all of that, and a lot of people don't want to do that when they submit a knife to somebody to have them actually do the spectrum analysis and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, shady company, but these knives are decent. Hardware is going to vary quite a bit per piece. I would say if you do buy these from like Amazon or something like that, because Sativian does have a storefront that only sells these and not all the other Jufule stuff that sells alongside it on AliExpress, then you can pick those up. And I would probably say if you do run into, hardware like this messing up, or, any of the scales, screws or something like that, not sticking in there, I would probably try to contact them through Amazon to see if you can't get a replacement, or, extra parts or something like that. I didn't, and this is definitely well beyond because I've had these for quite a while. But I don't know. I suppose it kind of comes as as one of those. Well, I should have learned from all of this sort of stuff. But there we go. So I've recovered these guys. If you like them and or you like the designer, I don't have any problem in suggesting anybody purchase these guys. I just really wouldn't suggest purchasing virtually anything else from the manufacturer of these guys. But all right, I hope that clears up anything. And if you're curious on where my earlier video on this is, I'm going to take it down just because it has inaccurate information on it. But all right. As always, I appreciate y'all for watching. I apologize for giving out false information earlier, or at least not knowingly false at the time. And have yourself a wonderful rest of your day, yo. Subscribe.